What's up, guys? This is Coach Cam. This is a full body workout that I did recently, starting off with quad extensions. Can't really see it here, but I propped up the left side of the base of my quad extension attachment because it kept slanting to the left, which was causing it to be unstable and a bit imbalanced. So, having done that, it felt way better. Felt like I got more activation out of my right quad and a more even distribution of the weight between the quads. Same weight, 3 plates. Set lasted 1:20 for 5 reps. And what I have also realized with the quad extension here and with the hamstring curl that I have, the weight gets disproportionately difficult as I lock out, as the weight is perpendicular to the floor. So what I'm going to be doing from now on hamstring curls and quad extension is contracting my muscles like I'm doing right here and make the weight have to force my leg all the way back down. So I'm going to keep contracting even though I am not going to finish the rep. That way I can try to overload my muscles a bit more with that movement instead of trying to get an entire extra rep, right? Because it's not very feasible. Next, we have squats. Last time, if you've been following along, you did this with body weight. It took 2.5 minutes, and I decided to add weight. So I added a 25-pound plate here. I just like getting more out of less weight for some reason, especially with squats and other body weight-based movements. So holding the 25-pound plate here, going down as slow as I can, getting as low as I can as well, and then coming up very slowly. I find that it really challenges the glutes, hip flexors, quads, really everything. So I would give this a try if you're game. And it's really difficult, but your goal is to make it challenging for the muscles. I'm not going to be bouncing out of the bottom. That's what powerlifters do. That's what people who are trying to move the most weight do. I'm not trying to move weight. I'm trying to contract muscles, right? Contracting muscles deeply fatigues them and recruits them in such a way that will stimulate them toward growth, toward strength, toward cardiovascular, metabolic improvements, and bone and tendon strengthening. Sorry, the lighting kept changing in here. My wife just took my son out for a walk in the stroller, so she had opened and closed the garage, but doesn't bother me. I'm going to just keep doing my training. So here toward the end, it's getting very difficult, and the burn is almost unbearable. And I kept this as a longer clip to show you guys as I try to come up at the end. And I fail, I have to just crawl on the ground to get up. Right there, couldn't do it. Have to help myself up as I hit muscle failure. So that's kind of what it looks like. And obviously it's very safe because, what am I going to do? Just kneel down? It's not like I'm going to fall and hit my head. Next is hamstring curls. Same weight, 65 pounds. I'll do the same thing that I mentioned before. I'm going to be contracting my hamstrings at the end until the weight is forced back to the starting position. So I got the same number of reps here, but the time increased quite a bit because of my choice to continually contract my muscles in like a really slow negative once I finish. So I'm not trying to get as many reps as possible. I'm not trying to use as much weight as I possibly can. I'm trying to use a moderate amount of weight. I'm moving the weight slowly to avoid all momentum. I don't want to accelerate the weight and, this isn't a competition. This isn't a competition. I'm going to write down what I did, but it's really just a challenge of my muscles contracting against the weight, right? You have 3 types of contraction: concentric, which is moving the weight in a positive direction. You have eccentric, or the lowering phase, and you have an isometric contraction, which is you holding the weight without any movement. All three of those are going to deeply fatigue your muscles and bring them closer to a point of muscular failure. Moving the weight is not required. Your muscles can permit movement, but they are not required to move. Great example of this is if you pick up a barbell like you're going to curl it and you just hold it at 90 degrees. Hold that for a minute until you can't hold it any longer and your muscles are failing, and then you cease the exercise. Technically, the volume camp of exercise science would say you performed no work and your muscles didn't perform any volume. But we know that's not true because the muscles just contracted statically until exhaustion. So the language of muscles is fatigue, and if you can direct that fatigue to a muscle's function and deeply fatigue it rapidly, which I would just say under 2 minutes is rapid fatigue of a muscle, you're going to sequentially move through your type 1 endurance fibers and then slowly sequentially recruit your type 2, more of what people consider their anaerobic fibers. So fibers that are slow twitch, it doesn't mean that you're contracting your muscles slowly. Slow twitch means they're slow to fatigue. That's what slow twitch means. And fast twitch fibers, while most people think it means, oh, you moved fast, that's not what fast twitch means. Fast twitch means fast fatiguing. Those fibers fatigue rapidly at the very end of a progressive set done to failure. So here I did, switching over to upper body, I did 4 lower body exercises. Now I'm doing about 4 upper body, and that was the end of the workout. Here is cable bicep curls, 45 pounds on the stack, and I made progress here. Super excited. I lasted about 8 seconds longer in terms of the total set duration. Similar reps, I think it was the same reps. So that basically just means that I moved it slower. I had more control and I contracted my muscles for a little bit longer against the same resistance. And if I did that up to where I start crossing 2 minutes, I know it's time to add some weight. Because 2 minutes is just a longer time to take to fatigue your muscles, and it starts becoming less efficient. You want it to be efficient, not too short, not too long. So generally between 1 to 2 minutes is a good rule of thumb. 90 seconds is probably my favorite time for a set to take. Bracing my entire body, contracting as hard as possible with the biceps. Remember, I'm only getting one shot of this. I'm only doing one set. So I have no excuses. I have to remain focused and I have to get the job done. Keeping the muscle under tension, contracting maximally here. Can't quite get it up. So then I just slowly lower it back down. And that's the end of my bicep training. Next is push-ups. So chest, shoulders, and triceps here. I did not do any more chest or tricep work, you could say, after the push-ups because my triceps were still not feeling the best from the week before. Week before, I did a little bit too much work, I guess you could say, at my elbows, and my triceps tendon and just elbow joints in general weren't feeling super good. So I decided to kind of ditch any extra tricep work, although my triceps are hit heavily with these push-ups, as is my chest and some of my anterior shoulder. This was actually very difficult because my legs were shaking. Can't really see it in the video, but my legs are twitching the entire time because that's how fatigued they were from the quad extension, the squats, and the hamstring curls. I had somebody ask me earlier in a comment, they said, so do you really think after a set like this, you wouldn't be able to do another one after like a couple minutes of rest? My response is, well, yes, of course I could do a set after a few minutes of rest, but would it be anywhere near the quality and caliber that I'm putting out in this first maximal set? No. It'd maybe be half, right? I could maybe do half the amount of reps, half the amount of time in a few minutes after. But what that really shows you is your type 1 endurance fibers have recovered. Not the type 2. The type 2 fast fatiguing fibers, those fibers are so deep in this set and are so fatiguing that they fatigue and take days to recover, okay? This is the same thing with, say, sprinters. You wouldn't expect a sprinter to do intense sprint intervals back to back days, or with short rest intervals. They take really long rests and they would do them on like non-consecutive days. Same thing with this. So next here is pull-ups, pronated grip. I have not done this in 7 months, and I was really glad I chose to do it because my back was so sore after this, but my biceps are still sore, and it's been 2 days, and my biceps are still sore from only cable curls and pull-ups. I could actually feel my arms a lot more doing pull-ups at this with the slow velocity like this compared to my whole life doing pull-ups. I've done pull-ups for I'm almost 28 years old, so 10 years, and I'm telling you what, I always wanted my arms to grow from pull-ups, and I never felt like they were growing at all until I did this set today, which showed me that, hey, my arms were so burned from this workout, especially just having already done bicep curls. Right here, I'm trying to pull up. I can't do it. I slowly lower down. That's muscle failure. There's no more muscle fibers to recruit to pull my body up and to finish a rep. So it's a really light load technically, it's just my body weight, but in moving in such a slow manner, every contraction is very intense and recruits the maximal amount of muscle fibers. Compared to repping it fast, right? I could do 30 reps body weight fast, no problem. But only the last few reps would actually be effective, right? The rest of it, I'm just bouncing through the exercise. I'm using momentum, the muscle stretch reflex at the bottom to bounce out of it. And you might think, well, I'm not using any momentum. I'm using a strict form. Well, you're contracting your muscles to initiate the movement of a pull-up, but what carries you through the rest of the range of motion is momentum or inertia, whatever you want to call it. You accelerated your body and you kind of float up to the top with less tension. If it's the same tension, then you would get the same number of reps whether you did it slower or faster. This is me flexing at the end, same body weight. I'm like 168. Body fat percentage, who knows, whatever, 18, 20, who knows. Yeah, my back was always my best body part, but everything else is starting to really catch up, which I'm really proud of. I was a distance runner for a long time, so this is just mega gains for my frame and my genetics. I have a twin brother who doesn't train at all. He's a lot smaller than me. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. Catch you in the next one.